So that, yes, sir. Yeah, I definitely
So
woke up, took another one. So definitely rejuvenated though. So
yeah,
energy is energy is
yeah,
there.
definitely.
Kind of time I've been on lately as well. I started to get sleepy again this morning, and I kind of fought it off. I didn't want to miss any of that game this
Yeah.
afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Who was playing? Was it the is it the it's the Final Four, or is it the Elite Eight?
No, it was a championship for
Oh,
the
The
was it?
girls.
championship.
Oh, I thought
Mhm.
because they usually do that on Monday, don't they?
Yeah, the boys game tomorrow.
Oh, okay, okay. So there was the ladies.
Yep,
Yeah,
Iowa to the undefeated South Carolina.
yeah.
All
Okay.
that Caitlin Clark talk, and she was trying to do her thing, but she wasn't hitting them like she used to. So yeah,
Now
South
was that the
Carolina.
team that Don Staley coaches?
Yeah, she played for. Yep, they won.
Yes, that's what I thought. Yeah,
Hmm.
She a good coach, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
the only
Good
game
coach.
they lost in the last 2 years was when they got put out by Iowa last year in
Mm,
the Final Four.
wow,
Yep,
So they recognized like 79-1.
wow,
right.
that's
And that's
crazy.
in 2 years. You got to think about it. The Bulls was what 72-10. The Warriors was what was it?
It was 73 and 9 or something like that. Something crazy.
Yeah, so for a college team, that's whew.
Yeah, that's 2 years.
Five
You know what I mean?
freshmen,
Yeah,
like the majority of her squad got drafted by WNBA and or graduated last year. So this is a whole new crop.
Man.
that's crazy.
They a big center. She was like what 15 and 17, 15 points, 17
Yeah.
rebounds. Freshman came in and had like 20. So they showed up today.
That's wild, man. That's wild.
Came
So
to
yeah,
play.
welcome to another episode of the Brofound Nation podcast. We here, we live, we just chopping up, going over some, you know what I mean, the sports that's going on right now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, man, like, like I said again, just appreciate everybody who's been tapping in and, you know, appreciating the content and, we are definitely, said we are appreciative ourselves and we just look to continue to, add value. And if there's anything that, like we continue to say, if there's anything that anybody wants to recommend or suggest as far as topic wise, don't hesitate to you know drop a comment, hit us with a DM, email, whatever the case may be, man. Like so we just appreciate everybody continue to tap in and um, show support. So yeah, we definitely, like I said, this is a very important platform that we know that not only us men can get value from, but the women in our lives, the women in their lives can get value from as well because it'll help them understand us more.
Yeah.
So yeah, and actually, so we kind of want to just kind of do a little reflecting, I guess you would say. So one of our brothers couldn't be here today. He's here with us in spirit, but he couldn't actually be here with us today. But he's one of the main ones that got started with us. That started it off. Honestly, me and him kind of, you know, um, connected, and then we, started, and then like I said, we, these two brothers here joined us a little bit later, but it's actually been 6 months since we started. We actually started, really got it going. And so we just kind of wanted to reflect a little bit, and also just to kind of reflect on, with it being the first quarter of the new year. I put them in parentheses because if you know, you know. That's all we're gonna talk about right there. If you know, you know. But yeah, so it's just a matter of reflection and kind of, where we can where we look to go from here, and I guess you'd say the progress that we've made in ourselves as a group and within our own selves, and where we look to accomplish in the quarter coming up and the remaining of the year, and just as we grow as a unit, man. So yeah, who I mean, like I said, it's been a it's been a great learning experience, because I said I'm one of those guys who don't really have too many, I have friends, so to speak. We all have friends, but it's really difficult sometimes when you've always been the one that wants to elevate your friend group, but not too many people want to join you in the elevation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to finally really, meet some brothers that are on the same level and on the same path and want to, hold others accountable and continue to, become greater within our own selves. But like I said, as a group and with, other men that are on that same level, become great within that. So it's been a great experience in my life. Like I said, it's you don't really have too many. I don't really have too many people that I can fully confide in. So to know that there's some brothers that I can confide in, and like I said, if I am ever down or not feeling, or on the opposite end too, when you are having those wins in your life, because a lot of times you can't even really express your wins amongst people because they view it, like you being braggadocious, or you are trying to outshine them, or something like that. When it's like, nah, man, we all need to be speaking on our wins, because like we can speak on our losses, but when it comes to speaking on our wins, we have a hard time of receiving good feedback because it's not deemed, you know, it's always, there's somebody that has something negative to say in a sense, because it's like they're not winning, I guess you would say. But um so yeah, like I said, it's good to be with a group of brothers that feel the same. And yeah, man, that's just kind of where I wanted to start off with. Whoever wanted to kind of speak on something next can go into it.
Yes, sir. Yes. I think for me, when I'm just listening to what you're saying, to kind of veggie back off of that, I also feel like that elevation requires isolation. So I know for me, just feeling like me myself, I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. You know what I mean? Like just simply by myself, like what is it I wanted to do? What is the things that I'm good at? How can I maximize those skills, maximize my time? So before I even felt like including somebody else in that journey, especially when it comes to, like loving on myself and being able to speak, um, I won't say confidently, but just speak on a level of where it's like you can receive it without it being felt like an attack. I just felt like I had to do some soul searching for myself. So I give it credit to just being patient. One thing I have gained within myself is just having patience with myself, and then just being able to not feel so, down and not attacking myself or not speaking, any low vibrations to my inner self because I know it hears it. So before I even wanted to include anybody in that journey, whether it be a spouse, whether it be homeboys, I knew I had to do that homework for myself. But that process was so cool. It was so dope because it's like you get to find out about yourself, you get to learn new things, try some new things, make some mistakes, and you ain't got nobody to say nothing about, say nothing about it. But the other part of that is you can do the work all you want to, but it's still a little bit of a hassle because if you do the work by yourself, you actually not being tested with it with someone else. So, if you put it in a situation as being in a relationship, you can work on being respectful. You can work on not cutting someone off. You can work on maybe learning their love languages, by yourself. But then once you with a woman, in my situation or any person's situation, male or female, now you're gonna be tested to see what you really have learned, how you can really apply what you learned. So it's just like before I can do any of that, before I was even in this group with you all, including Jesse, it was like I had to know who I was. But that journey and that process was dope, and it's still dope because it's like again I get to hold myself accountable. I also know that y'all will. We have dope conversations. the energy that we have and what we give into others is to give them knowledge and, help their well-being. So just like I said, just to veggie back off of that, I think that process is dope. So just being able to, every Sunday come together, have this fellowship. It's almost like church if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? Because we come in here and we delivering a message. At the end of the day, we ain't no pastors or nothing. We ain't no priests, but everybody's speaking from their own personal experience to deliver a message to whomever can receive it. So I feel like that's why I appreciate, all these things that we have done and even more of what's to come.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. You spoke a lot of truth and a lot of what I it took me a few years to realize and arrive to that same conclusion. Until you're able to look within self and decide that you want to make change and be able to hold yourself accountable for the things that you can control and be able to be okay with not being able to control some things, you learn a lot about yourself, and that's where growth lies at. That's where growth flourishes at. Because now you can, you once you've been able to have that, sit down one on one with yourself, you realize, what your capacities are, what it is that you really want out of life, the things that really make you move, make you tick, and then from that, change is able to form. Because now you know exactly where you're at, and you know what you need to do for your next step. And it might not necessarily be anything that you have knowledge of per se. I don't know, arbitrary situation. You decide you want to go into science, you want to go and be an engineer. Well, you might not necessarily have that knowledge now, but you know what you need to do to get this knowledge, who you need to talk to, what paths you need to move in. And if without that retrospect of self, then you might just be able to sit back and like, yeah, one day I want to be an engineer. Okay, well, what are you putting forth to lay that and to make that plan an actual truth? Or you want to one day you want to settle down and be able to get married, but you're just going through a string of bad relationships until you have that retrospect and you realize who you are internally, what you want, what you're willing to put up with, what you're not willing to put up with. You don't really know your own self. So how can you put any kind of reasonable demands, if you want to put that word in there, on somebody when you don't even really know who you are or what it is that you want? So you're doing the right thing as far as realizing who exactly you are, and all things can come from that.
That's
And
real.
that's big facts, man. Like, kind of speaking of what you said, what you said, Henry, it's like you have to be the thing that you want. You know what I mean? Like you have to actually be that. Like like you might, like you said, are you looking to be a husband? Are you looking to, be an engineer, or are you looking to whatever you're looking to do? What are you doing right now that's going to put you in that? You know what I mean? So it's like you can't. So some people will be like, okay, as soon as I do this, do this, do this, do this, then I'll like. Nah, it's like, okay, what can I do right now? I think we spoke to this as well. It's like, what can I do right now that's going to get me to that, to where I'm actually, like right now, what would an engineer be doing? An engineer will be looking up, might be looking up YouTube videos and figuring out different stuff. If it's looking at something and breaking it and trying to break it down, whatever. Like I say, you gotta live in that. Like as far as if you want to get married, are you husband material right now? You know what I'm saying? Are you doing the things right now that because it's like I forget exactly who might have said it, but you know, you yeah, you can't think that okay, once I get a woman, then I'm gonna be that then I'm gonna be a husband material, you know what I'm saying? Or even on the vice versa, women that want to be a wife, but they're not doing the things that they want to do that they should be doing to get that man in their life. So like, back to being a husband, it's like, like I said, if I know I want a good woman in my life, what are the things that I'm doing right now that's going to bring that energy to me? You know what I'm saying? I can't think that she's gonna come and then all of a sudden I'm gonna change. Nah, I gotta be out here. I gotta make sure I'm respecting myself. I gotta have dick discipline. You know what I'm saying? I got to, hold myself to a high standard. I gotta, make sure that I have the value that I need to have. So when, I mean, she's going to see. I said something there's a post. I think it's like, if a man can't teach you nothing, he shouldn't be, giving you dick or nothing else. You know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. So it's like, what's some knowledge that you have that you can impart on a woman that's going to help her live her life? You know what I mean? So, like I said, you have to live in what you like. Say, if I'm looking to, like, say, with me, I've been thinking about this too. It's a matter of like, I know I want to. For instance, I feel like banking is something that I'm good at. Financial services. We talk about some other things too as well, but I've been kind of. It just hit me today too. It's kind of crazy that we're talking about this. I was realizing, like, what am I doing right now that's going to make these financial institutions even want to mess with me. Like, what I mean, I don't have my insurance license yet. I don't have my mortgage license yet. You know what I'm saying? The MLS thing. Those kind of things. It's like, so if this is really what I want to do, I should be going out. I should be attaining these things prior to where
Hmm.
as soon as what I mean, I tap in. They're like, oh, do you have? Yep, I have that. Yep, I have that as well. So it's like I'm already providing value. So it's like I might need some like the securities license or whatever. But I said I need to if this is what I want to do, I have to go out there and go after the things that are going to put me in the proper place. So when that opportunity does come, I'm right there waiting for it. They're in it. They can all that's left for them to do is to train me in their systems. Yeah, I got the insurance. I got the insurance license. Yeah, I got the mortgage license. Whatever. I'm a notary already. Like I said. So like you said, you got to put yourself in those um, in that position. And but speaking to what you were saying, Corey, as far as like kind of being a judge of ourselves. A lot of times we will do that. We'll down talk ourselves before anybody else does. You know what I mean? Like we'll be judging ourselves more than other people do. Have you ever noticed like there be times when you'll be doing something like say it might be for a report or it might be for say let's say you're at work and somebody else is going to be coming to, I guess they might say, let's say critique it. But then you're in your head, you're already kind of setting yourself up for like them telling you that it's not going to be good enough. So you're kind of telling yourself different things like, oh, they're going to tell you, they're going to say this, and then you're coming up with your own rebuttals as to why it's not as good or things like that. And then when they come and see it, they're like, "Oh man, this looks excellent, man. This looks great." It's totally not what you were thinking because you're judging yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're already so it's like we have a tendency of being harder on ourselves than we need to be. When it's like we got to kind of get out of that. It's hard to, but you have to kind of just kind of get out of it and say, you know what? Nah, I'm not going put myself down and act like I'm not doing great work. You have to kind of know that what you're doing is great, and it's of value because, like I said, we'll devalue ourselves more than anybody else will. You know what I mean? We'll put ourselves down more than anybody else will, man. And also, as far as like the you know when you are elevating, you are going to separate yourself from a lot of different people. You're going to you might get into that spot where you don't know where the next step is coming. Like you might be confused yourself, but that's how you know when that you are elevating because you're in that space. You're like, damn, you don't know what's going on, whatever. But that's how you know your life is changing because you're in that confusion space, so to speak. And so it's just important to understand, okay, once you are in that space, not to give up, not to be, not to be afraid, not to, because that's just all a part of the process. You know what I'm saying? Like you're making those steps. You might not see that next step just yet, but you know what I mean. Just the fact that you are unsure or have some uncertainty kind of speaks to that transition. So yeah, man. Like everything that you guys have that we've all that you guys have hit on is all part of that process. So it's important to understand what these processes are like and know that okay, I'm gonna be good because last time I didn't know what was going on. Something something was right around the corner. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to realize something was right around the corner. So yeah, there's a lot of different things, man, when it comes to just that elevation up, man, that you just kind of gotta be aware of. So just understand that it's gonna be all right.
For real, man. And y'all both touched on it greatly. And what I think about too, like as far as like reflection, what this new quarters look like, what the quarters upcoming gonna look like, how I'm gonna present myself, what are the things I need to put into place that's gonna get me or put me in that position that we, are now talking about right now. And I know one thing for sure is just recognizing the power of the tongue, just kind of touching back on what y'all said, what we all said, whether it's from you to someone else or vice versa, just realizing that that power that you have, the words that you choose to use, what are you saying to yourself and to others can change a lot, man. And I was having this conversation with my cousin yesterday, and I guess he said he was talking to his fiance about just, how he appreciates his woman speaking life into him. And he was just like, hey, you do it now, but because they was watching the show together and that's what was happening in the show, he wanted to remind her, like, this what is going on is literally like all men really want and need. Sometimes like the power of the tongue can literally shape your day, your week, your month. And if you got that person who has that understanding and they do that, it could be as easy as like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna get this job. I'm applying for it, but I'm ooh. And if your lady right there, like, hey, listen, it don't matter if you get the job or not. You still who you know what I mean? And it's just understanding like a person who can use that and they aware of it and then they not doing it with malintent is something I strive to be because who gonna big me up better than myself?
Right.
So I know that's something that I'm possible and capable of doing. Then I know when it comes down to me doing it for somebody else, it ain't no problem. And that's just one piece that I feel like, as far as elevation goes, I have to be conscious of what I'm saying because we all know the universe is listening, the God is listening. And if you understand what the law of attraction is, you know that what you put out is what you receive. It's that simple. But what that means is give to others what you want to receive. Before you ask for something, give to others. And then that energy and that frequency will start to circulate more and more and you'll receive that abundance. But as long as you're giving with pure intent, you don't have to worry about, when it's coming back because the intention that you gave was for pure intent. Like if hey, you said you needed $20, here you go, bro. No questions asked. Because again, like that's just who I am. That's what I wanted to give that person, provide them a peace of mind. And I had it, so why not help? And again, it could be as small as just open a door for somebody, being intentional with what you say, being intentional with what you do. It'll literally start, we all talked about it last week, but just creating new habits. So those little things like that, how I speak, what I'm eating, all that plays a factor in that elevation that I'm in right now. But then when I'm looking at it, like if I continue to do these little things now and I'm focused on what's most important, another 6 months from now, the sky ain't even the limit no more. Now you're more so just you coasting through the breeze like a bird, like we just soaring through. So, and I do want to touch on something, and I'm gonna let hand go, but just because where we at right now in the world, I don't know if everybody knows and recognize it, but a little bit more on the astrology side of things. We got a whole solar eclipse tomorrow. We got a whole energy transfer going on. Even now, even before it, in the weeks past us and the weeks to come, we have to be aware to protect our energy internally. And just to keep it short, just being mindful to what's going on in your surroundings too. Because if you around different people, you in different rooms, and it's not for you, you're gonna feel that resistance. You're gonna feel that. So if you aware of what you got going on internally, you can now pick up on those different pieces that don't fit for you. Like, oh, that job not for me, this woman not for me. Me eating this, I don't feel good. And me drinking liquor ain't helping me. But again, those little pieces that we touching on right now is adding value to yourself, is making you more aware, more conscious, but it also then makes you be aware, like, hey, I need to protect my energy, knowing one, not just because it's a solar eclipse, but I'm not gonna be affected. Other people gonna be affected and they don't even know. But because I know, I gotta move cautiously. But that don't stop today. It don't stop on the 8th. It don't start on May 1st. You have to move like that intentionally every day.
Another mouthful. And yeah, that eclipse actually coming through here tomorrow. I was actually able to experience one back in South Carolina. I think it was like 2017. And you know, as they were saying, once in a lifetime thing. Yep, here I go for the lifetime thing again. Now, with that being said, change change is important in all our lives. We're always going to be ever evolving. You should be throughout the course of your life. You should be ever evolving, always learning, because you're going to learning brings about new scenarios. But change requires discipline. Discipline requires uncomfortability. There's something that you have to make some sort of change with, no matter how minuscule it is now, to amount to whatever amount that is that you're trying to accomplish. And a lot of times, that's what winds up um, cutting us short of what our goals are, because we're looking at our goal in totality of, I want to be 200 pounds by the summer. Hell, it ain't but a month away. That's unrealistic. But if you were able to look at it, you know, in a more granular approach, you start watching your diet, you taking time out where you do exercise. These little things, they add up to make habits. And as you continue to make habits, you build that discipline, and you have no choice but change to come through. Because while you're doing all this, you're actually able to go back and fact check, you know, your results. Like I said it on one of the lives a long while back. In my profession, and I'm pretty sure it's in a lot of different professions, they have what they call SMART goals. And SMART being an acronym of, you know, specific, measurable, achievable, reviewable, and time based. If any decision that you're trying to make or any change that you got to make, if you can lay it out in that manner, you have a chance to go back and check to see if what you're doing is working. You set a time frame as far as what's going to happen. You're measuring your base status to what your end goal is. Your goal is specific. If you follow that pattern, you have no choice but to change. And all it takes is little minute changes here and there to start, you know, creating a bigger picture of where it is that you're actually trying to achieve, trying to arrive. I remember one teacher actually asked me a question in a, you know, form of a joke, but it actually was, you know, very profound. Like, how do you eat an elephant? Me being me, I said with barbecue sauce. Apparently, that wasn't the right answer. With him, it was one bite at a time.
By that time, yeah.
At a
That's
time.
it, one bite at a time. So you figure out exactly what change that you, once you have that internal conversation with yourself, then you start to look outward and you lay things out in that manner. You see what in what manner that you want to grow and what changes you need to make for that growth to occur. Now that can go for financial, relationship, occupation, health. It can work in any realm as long as you can see what your end goal, what you want it to be. You can go by those 5 steps, and you can start to achieve it. Maybe not the whole thing in totality in the beginning, but you figure out what little things you need to do to adjust, and eventually you will arrive at the goal.
Yes,
Exactly,
sir.
man. It's like it's like the quote that was put in the group chat, man. Like you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So it's all about them systems that you put in place. You have to, if this, like you said, if this is what you want to do, what are those steps you're gonna take to get there? It's not about that end goal because, like I say, if you think too much on that end goal, you're probably gonna lose sight of it. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to put those different systems in place that are going to lead up to that. Because otherwise you're not going to. You probably won't accomplish that. Like I said, you got to make sure that those proper systems are put in place that's going to help you, like I said, step by step get to that level. Because that's what's most important, man. Like you said, if you said you want to lose a certain amount of weight, but how are you going to do it? You're thinking, like I said, it could be out of reach, but if you make sure that like I said, you cut out sodas and you cut out breads, or it don't got to be all dramatic at one time, but at least if you make at least that one step and then you get good at doing that, that's ingrained in you. It's like, okay, boom, that's not that part is not going to go. You're going to keep doing that. What's the next thing that I can do? What I'm saying, that's going to fully affect me heading in that direction. So it's all about them steps, man. And kind of speaking of what you said, Corey, about when you go into certain situations and knowing that it might not be good for you, or knowing that something is good for you. It's you have to you got to do the internal work. That's why I attribute to man Neo in the Matrix. I just watched the Matrix, all three of the Matrix again. But
Okay.
that's one of my favorite movies, man. Like that's one of my favorite set of movies because like every time I watch it, I'll probably learn something else. There's probably at least one thing that I might not have seen before, that or in a sense my life hadn't caught up to that part, that to where I would like, oh, okay, that's what they meant in a sense. But in the first one, in the very end of the first one, when he finally realizes that he was the one, when he finally realized that he was the one, he was able to see the Matrix for what it was. So he was able, until he realized that he was the one, he was still having troubles with Agent Smith. I mean, he couldn't beat Agent Smith. You know, he couldn't figure stuff out. But once that thing happened to where he realized, like, nah, I am the one, boom, he was able to see the Matrix all for what it were. It was all ones and zeros at that point. You know what I mean? And then when Agent Smith tried to come at him again, it was
Mm-hmm.
out of here. And so that analogy is a matter of, like, once you fully know who you are, everything around you, it reverberates to everything else around you. When you know who other people, what I mean? Like, okay, like, boom, okay, you can recognize negativity in a person right off bat. You know what I mean? You can, and you can in a sense tell a person about themselves, and they won't even they'll know it, but they'll be pissed that that, because once you know who you are, that energy just reverberates outwards, man. So you get to know you'll know your surroundings that much better. You'll know the people around you that much better. You know who you can interact with and who you shouldn't interact with. Because, like I said, you've fully figured yourself out, and that's why doing the work is so important, man. That's you got to do that inner work, man. Like you said, Henry, you got to signature. You got to have you got to have that that conversation. You got to be willing to ask yourself those hard questions. You got to be able to be willing to sit with yourself and be 100% and have that talk. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I got after I got after I got separated with my ex-wife, and then of course ended up getting divorced. But it was a matter of, I sat with myself and asked myself all the questions. You know what I mean? Why is it that I do these things? Why do I do this? And once you have those epiphanies, it's a great feeling. I think I probably already talked about this as well, but like I said, it's just one of those things. It's a great feeling. It's one of those things like, wow, okay, I did I never really put those two together. But once you do that, like I said, it just allows you to move forward. You know what I'm saying? You know what you need to do now. You know what I mean? You know what the cause of it is. And so now it's like if you see that energy coming in again, it's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that this time because I know why I'm doing this. You know what I mean? And I know, so it's like you gotta be you just gotta be willing to sit down and do that, have that one-on-one talk, and figure, like you said, figure out what you want, what you don't want in life. Because a lot of times, we know what we don't we know what we want in life, but a lot of times we don't know what we don't want. And that's why you got to experience certain relationships because, like that'd be the ones that's like, okay, I didn't realize I didn't want that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know that,
Right.
something that I don't want. Like say when you having say in a future relationship or whatever spouse that you're looking to have into your life, it's like you had to go through that little shitty, if it was a month, 2 month, whatever, you know what I mean, that time frame was, you had to go through that so you can learn, okay, that's what I don't want to experience again. So if I see that happening again, or if I see that in a future one, I'm gonna nip that in the bud right away because that's not something you want to deal with, man. So yeah, it's just yeah, like I said, you got to be willing to have that conversation with yourself. You got to just be willing to, you know, like I said, those systems as well. Like I said, those systems are highly important, man, and um, just understanding who you are as a person, man, like, but vital because if not, you won't get to that next level.
For
I think
real.
that's the biggest issue there. I'm sorry, I jumped out of line. Go ahead, Corey.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
A lot of people don't know themselves. And to a certain degree, I believe a lot of people don't want to know themselves just by the choices that they make. Like for you to actually be able to internalize that conversation with yourself, you at that point have made up in your mind that whatever's going on around you or whatever that you see of yourself, you're not liking. And you're wondering, why am I like this or why things like this are happening or what am I doing to attribute that? And
Mm.
once you have that conversation, your eyes are kind of open to, you start to realize your own bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Just ain't.
And then when you start to sift through that, and that's really, really hard for a lot of us. Being able to, point the finger at ourselves and like, you are the problem. Whatever didn't work because of you. Now, once you've had that conversation with yourself, things become a lot clearer because now you start looking at things of, you is this me projecting my situation on somebody else, or am I coming to help? And if you coming to help, then you can look at things in a pathway of goodness. But by the same token, if you come with a bunch of crap, you can see what you're doing. You are aware of what you're inflicting, what you're holding back, and what hurdles that you're putting in front of yourself. Like even down to some relationships that people get into, if they've had that conversation with themselves, they wouldn't find themselves in that particular relationship because you already know in your mind what you want, what you don't want, what you're willing to put up with, what you're not willing to put up with. And if you can have that and you just meet somebody, y'all have a conversation. You should be able to tell by that point, is this something that's going to be, fruitful? Or whether this is a weed, you might not need to deal with her or him, whatever it may be. But a lot of times that's not the case. We'll go with what we will what will we be allowed to be. So what I mean by that is if you're somebody that likes to go out, party, drinking, and smoking, whatever, carrying on, more likely you might not have somebody square. They just want to be home. They don't drink. They don't smoke. They don't do nothing. because your personalities are clashing at that particular point. You
Mm.
kind of want somebody that's doing the same thing that you're doing. That way,
Mhm.
it makes it easy for you to go out and do what you want to do. The other person, that's going to require change. If you want to, find you a church girl, straight as an arrow, that's what you need to be able to present yourself as.
For real.
You can't expect her to accept you at a lower point, and she's here with hope and hoping in her mind that she'll wait for you to catch up to here. That's
Mm.
that's not how it works.
Right.
You're going to catch what you attract.
Mm. You over there spitting now, yeah. You over there spitting. As I'm listening to what y'all saying, dog, like at the end of it all, whether it's the inner work, the exterior work, relationship, jobs, whatever, we all just we gotta be the change that we want to see. You feel me? Like regardless what it is, if you want something done, create that. Create that energy within yourself to give it. If you want, like we talking about, we want a body and you want the world to be in a better position. We'll start with yourself. Start focus on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. I forget the saying. I know we think you even said it last week, but it's been heavy. You know what I mean? Like control what you can control and let go of the fear or even the thought of what you can't control. Because once you start leaning in that direction, everything gonna start to crumble. Because now every situation can be bad if you worried about the stuff you can't control. Because you never know how it's gonna go because it's not in your control. So let that go. Let that power go. Because once you realize you let it go, you now being able to be free. And that's the whole goal. You want to be free because when you going into this next chapter in life or this next season in life, you trying to be better at whatever it is you started and be in a better position than you was the day before, the month before. But you gotta be willing to, you know what I mean, be the change that you want to see. And what does that look like? For me, it's like as a man, I need to be a high value man. I need to have my own morals and principles that I can stand on. That when I'm looking in the mirror and I'm looking at myself, like, okay, I can stand on that. This is who I am. This is what I say. I'm a man of integrity. If I give my word, I'm gonna stand on it. Like it starts there, and it's a beautiful thing to be in because us with men and having kids now you have a little mini you, or you have someone who's looking up to you because you setting the standard. If you have a daughter, now her dad sees how you move and how a man should move. Now now what I mean, you set an example with your son. It's the same thing. So it's like if I'm being the change that I want to see, and I'm a high value man, not that I'm better than the next man or that I think, what I mean, whatever. No, it's just me internally. I know who I am. I know what resonates with me. And I'm going to project that into the universe because it's all from good intentions. And it's like that's where it all stems from. Then even with your own friends, if your friends aren't on that same frequency as you are, sometimes you may have to fight this battle yourself. You know what I mean? This may be that journey that you go on solo because they're not going to understand it right now. It's not for them to, but at some point, maybe they will, maybe they won't. Either way, you got to stay headstrong on what it is that you got going on, and putting your head down and focusing is the key to that. And again, like I said, being a change and being a high value man. But I just feel like when we going into this new season, don't bring that baggage that you started with this last one, because you just gonna be holding on to stuff that don't actually, like you said, resonate with you. It's not beneficial. You need to be drinking water while you over there buying juices in the refrigerator. Like the temptation is gonna be there. If you said you want to do something, okay, well I'm gonna buy a case of water. I'm gonna put a case of water in my car. That way ain't no excuses. Something so small as that, it's like, okay, I can now say I drink a gallon a day. Cool. But if you don't start, then how you gonna finish? How you start is sometimes they say it's how you finish, but we all watch relay races, and that first leg, that fourth leg is two different things. Yes, them are the most important, but the team as a whole and as a collective is what got them there. Because if the first leg is great and the second leg is bad, the fourth leg and the third leg gonna be pushing even harder. So it's just like again, like You got to keep putting in that work. You got to stay consistent. And I don't know, man. It's just been a different feeling lately for me. And like I said, knowing that this solar eclipse is coming or whatnot, knowing that it's a new season, I feel light. I feel open. My mind is free. My mind is clear. I don't feel like I'm holding any grudges towards anything. So now, if I'm feeling that way, I can elevate. I can start to now put myself in different environments. If I want to network, then I need to be in places where people that doing something more than me, that got what I want, I need to be able to receive that information. I need to be able to be in that room with them. And my high value self will bring value to whatever it is that we talking about or they doing. But I won't be able to make it in that room if I ain't done did the work already. And it's really the mindset, Ty, it's the shirt, right? Mindset is key. Mindset is everything. Like where it starts from is here. The signals we get throughout our body start right here. If you telling yourself every day, I'm a good dude. I'm gonna eat better, or whatever you saying, those words of affirmations, they start here, and all them little endorphins, all them cells go through the body. And it's literally it. That's it's that simple.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. It's gotta. I touch on a couple of things that you guys were saying, but then I guess we'll kind of get into a wrap up session. But um, it's crazy, man, to think, like you said, a lot of people don't want to know themselves because it's going to force them to now you have no excuse, you have no reason, you have what I mean of not fixing yourself. A lot of people love to sit in that dysfunction. A lot of people love to operate in that dysfunction because they have in a sense an excuse of why they're doing the things that they do. Like they will revel in that, and so it's like if they don't do that work of like I said, peeling that onion back and truly figuring out what it is that that's wrong with them, then it's like if like I said, if they don't do that, then they don't have to fix themselves. But once you do sit and actually figure that stuff out, it's like it forces you to be a better person. And a lot of people can't handle that. A lot of people can't handle that work. And it's kind of like it was something I was thinking about today of, the whole phrase, ignorance is bliss. You know, it's not, you know, cakes and fairy tales and ice cream and all that kind of stuff kind of thing. But it's one of those things that as long as you don't know something, then you're good. You know what I'm saying? Like if I don't, it's like you look at racists, for instance, they're because that ignorance, they live in that. So they that's something that like I said, if they realized and learned like, okay, damn, we all are we aren't that different. We what I mean, we're all similar, and whatever I said, once you get past that, you can't be that racist no more. You can't be that ignorant person no more because you're like, damn, and now it's put right in front of you. You know what I mean? If you show me in what ways that you're better than me or I'm better than you, and what say if I showed you some stuff that was in history that how you were told wrong, and you were given the wrong information. Now you can't be that. You can't have that much hatred towards me anymore because I just showed you that was wrong. So
Right.
now it's going to force you out of that, like, and you're probably a lot of, like I said, when it comes to in that analogy, a lot of them cats aren't going to want to. They don't want to live in that. They don't want to think like, damn, it's right. You know what I mean? Now I can't hate them like I want to. No, you can't because you say you're wrong now. And I think about that aspect too, as far as you think about we live in the information age, man. We're being that we living in the information age. Information is great, but what are you going to do with that knowledge? What are you going to do with that information? And once you have it, like the fact of how you look at like, okay, like the fact that a lot of memes and stuff like that kind of break down how people are feeling in certain instances and how, you know, how they view relationships and stuff like that. And people are kind of like being more vocal about the type of people that they are in and out of relationships. I mean, just like I said, everything is like the information is all out there for us. So the fact that we have this information going into, say, if you were going to another relationship, you're going to think about that thing that you've seen online that kind of exposed some stuff that you didn't know before. You know, so now you kind of have that in the back of your head, like, okay, boom, this person's gonna do this to me because, you know, all they they're selfish, or they, you know, I, there's so many different examples. But
Yeah.
like I said, we live there's so much information out there for us that it could actually hinder our chances of you know, being in, you know, like I said, if you're looking for a relationship, whatever, it can almost hinder your chances of that happening because you're already you know so much. You've experienced, like, especially if you might have experienced a lot. Like they say that you look at, okay, for instance, how like some of the best coaches weren't necessarily the best players.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They weren't a lot of coaches that coached in sports. They weren't necessarily the best players, but they worked with a lot of different people. They learned so much from of the game that they're able to coach it well.
Mm-hmm.
You know
They
what I'm
understand.
saying? Like they weren't necessarily the best. Like I said, they weren't the best players themselves, but like I said, they learned so much. They're able to give that knowledge to other people, and it's like that's almost the trade off in a sense. Like I might not be that good at relationships, but I've been in so many and learned so much from them that if somebody comes to me with some and has some questions about relationship, I could probably give you some game. But because I wasn't the best, that don't mean that I'm not knowledgeable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's and like I said, like I said, ignorance is bliss to a degree because like I said, it just you don't have to think about all the you don't have to think about it. You know, like people who don't understand, it's I had it, but I kind of lost my train of thought earlier. But it's just like I say, you know, when you don't have the, you like, you know, when people think about why people do the things that they do, and then I said, if I have a psychological brain, I can pinpoint different things and understand like, okay, that's why this person is doing what they're doing, and then it's only going to make me do this, and then that's just going to affect the relationship. But if I was ignorant to that, then we'd be going through the relationship, and I wouldn't, you know, it would be all, you know, quote unquote honky dory kind of thing. But it's
Yeah.
like I said, so ignorance, like I said, is to a degree is bliss, but because, you know, like I said, we live in an age of information that there's so much. That's why I mean, you look at nowadays of why there's a lot of single people out here, so to speak. It's because you look at all these different videos of all these different podcasts of the dudes kind of breaking down, you know, what they like and dislike about, you know, the relationship, or women, and then women doing the same thing about men. Nobody wants to get together no more because they, you know what I'm saying? They well, you just gonna do this anyway, or you just gonna do that. It's like, well, nah, like let's have that talk. Let's have this. If we have an understanding about each other, then that's we can be better. We can grow. But like I said, there's so much information. There's so much out here that people are putting it in front of what they truly want for themselves. You know, um, and then this lastly about you know, I think you were the one that said it, Henry, too, is it's a matter of like you got to meet people where they are. You can't expect to be with somebody who's, like, say, if you are big time religion, and then she's over
And
here
they
going out, you know what I'm saying, kicking it every night, or big time drinker, alcoholic, drugs and all that. But if that's how you met them, you can't expect to try to change them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if this is where I met you, I have to understand. Okay, I either have to make the decision of we can't. I want you in my life, and what I'm going to do, I have to be willing to accept it, or I can't have this in my life. I'm going to remove myself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can't expect to just meet that person, and you like I said, wherever you met them, you can't think that you're gonna change them. Like, no, if when you first meet and this is what they're involved in, either you can accept it or you can't. If you can't, you got to move on. If you can accept it, then you have to fully accept it and not
yeah.
try to alter them, or try to, they got to be willing to do that for themselves, because for the betterment of you and them. But otherwise, it's not going to work. So, like I said, you got to be willing to meet people where they are, and if you're not on that same level, if you guys aren't on that same level, then it has to be what it has to be. But you can't try to fix or change anybody. You know what I'm saying? So,
Growth is progressive.
yeah.
Growth is progressive. Is not stagnant. So, in terms of a relationship, if you come in at here and they up here, or vice versa, how long do you expect somebody to hold themselves back from growing for you to catch up?
Yeah.
And even if you realize that's the case, and you take your sweet time as far as progressing to that point, you just holding somebody back from whatever it is that they're able to attain in their life. You really just gotta kind of meet people where they're at, and if they're not in the exact same place, there's no harm in no foul. We just in two different time periods.
Right.
Now, I guess I'll say this and I'll wrap up. Like, I couldn't imagine being out in the dating world now, and seeing some guys like I might have went to school with, that's hanging out in places I was at maybe 20 years ago. They still fishing for people 20 years younger. Y'all ain't even on the same type of wavelength. Their thought process could very well be the party, the going out, the hanging out, the living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
At my age, you should be thinking, what the next 20 some odd years of your life is going to be, where you at right now, and what you could do to change your trajectory to eventually land where you want to be. Y'all shouldn't even be on the same thought processes. So, with that being the case, why? I just don't understand that. As far as relationships go, if it's a mentor thing, it's a friend thing, that might be totally different, because you might be dropping some gems that they need to help them along the lines in life. But y'all shouldn't even be on the same wavelength. So
Mm-hmm.
that wouldn't even make sense for that to be who you aiming for, to be with. Well, and even as I say that, I guess to each his own, but it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man, I know that one a little bit too personally, so I ain't gonna go in it. I know, we, like you said, we at that time frame, but man, yeah, growth is inevitable. It's gonna happen. It may not happen right away. It's gonna slowly happen if you want it to. And I also have to realize, to just keep it short, not everybody gonna grow at the same pace. And you know what I mean? When it comes to relationships, and you watering the person that you are dealing with, don't be scared to stop watering them when you feel like they not watering you, because that's the point. Like, you water me, I water you, we gonna grow together. I'm not saying you got to grow at my speed. I'm not saying the sun gonna hit you the same, but as long as I can see you, like you said, progressively growing, I'm okay with that, because like you said, I'm accepting you for who you is, but I'm also accepting that you will be growing from that version. So if I met you in 2012, I hope you ain't the same person in 2022 or 2015, or if it's 2024, and at the end of 2024, I hope you've learned some things along the course of your time. Now, if we so happen to do that together, hopefully you helping me grow. But don't be afraid to, hey, this is getting a little bit one-sided, and I can't blossom the way I need to blossom if I'm just giving too much. So that's part of growth. That's part of change, and that's part of the whole evolution of self. That's the part of evolution on being in a relationship. You may be the one giving more some days, and then that person is giving you more. But as long as y'all both giving, y'all good. But I say all that to say, man, don't be scared of change either. At the end of it all, regardless of what it is, change is good. It's gonna happen. Embrace it, but also have an open mind to it.
Sure. Before we wrap up, though, what are some things that you guys are looking forward to I guess you would say either changing or just concentrating on, like I said, in this next quarter, this next, the next year, like what are some things that you're looking um, to work on?
For me, I don't even know if I really thought about it if I'm not already doing it. One, being less responsive to things that don't resonate with me. So I guess just controlling my reaction to things. That's one thing. Two, I would definitely say remaining consistent because I feel like at times I'll fall off of track of some of the simplest things and then be mad at myself because I did it. But it's like, well, why you stop doing it in the first place? So consistency and let's just say slower to anger. Those are just personal goals. But if we talk about something bigger than that, then I think that's another pod. That's another episode for another day. But just personally, definitely being more consistent in all parts of life and slower to anger and slower to response for sure.
Yeah.
I think with me, my pattern of growth, and I started giving it thought maybe, 4 or 5 months ago, some of thereof. There were certain things that I wanted to be able to achieve professional wise. One of which I want to learn more about investing, and I started doing as much research into that as I possibly could. And I guess to measure that, I've done fairly well the past couple of months. Just from the little bit that I've learned. So I'm on a nice trajectory with that. There's still some things that I'm aiming to learn, so I'm still doing my research in that and learning on that. But in doing that, I guess the great part about that is the journey from beginning to end because I've learned so much about finance and not just investing, but finance as a whole. So there's growth in that. Um, Also professionally, there was some certifications and whatnot with the career path that I'm on that I need to go and get. So I've been doing a lot of studying towards that. And it's just actually more so going out and getting them at this point. So I'm gonna continue my studies on that. Both those things they help the professional and the financial. And as far as me, I just internally I still had that retrospect. I constantly go back over my life experiences, where I'm at, where I want to go, things that has occurred, and I'm constantly weighing them, and kind of chiseling away at the person ultimately that I want to be. And by doing so, I think I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. It's just gonna be an ever evolving thing.
Excuse me.
No problem. But it's just gonna be an ever evolving thing. So,
No, definitely, I agree. Kind of speaking to kind of what both of you guys are saying. Drilling down, basically just drilling down on the things that have been set in place already, just making sure that um, I'm doing everything that I can to, like I said, when it comes to continuing to read. I've been doing a lot of reading via, audiobooks as well, but just, continuing on that process of making sure that I get the 24, at least the 24 books this year, you know, um, working out, every day I've been working out, making sure that I at least do one or two sets of something, so just continue that process and just drilling that down, and just like I say, even when it comes to getting those certifications as well, those licenses for, the fact that of something I want to do, drilling that down, just doing the work and just, like I said, so it's almost like when you're putting up, say, a picture or something, or you're putting something together, you might have to screw in, to get it set in place, and then you'll go back around and completely, drill them in. You know what I mean? Like I said, so you got the thing set in place. So just a matter of, like I said, now it's just a matter of drilling everything down to make sure that it's all finished. So like I said, yeah, just continue to, and I have to say, I want to, be a better grandfather. I got to be. I was thinking about today. It just hit me. I was in the store, and you see a grandmother and her granddaughter just spending time together. And it was one of those things where I was just like, man, just understanding the value of being of having grandparents. Like I lost my grandmother when I was 14 years old. You know what I mean? And I don't know anybody from my biological father's side of the family, so I only had that one side. So to lose my grandma at such a young age, and to just have that, like I said, I just had that feeling all of a sudden of like, man, I wish my grandma was still around. So just understanding, just appreciating the relationship between grandchildren and grandparents is such a valuable relationship. And I have grandchildren, and I got to be better. I got to be a better a better grandparent to them, so they can, fully, have that relationship. I don't want to deprive them of that. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that it's on both sides. Like it's going to be great for me for them to be in my life more. It's going to be that much greater for them, for them to be for me to be in their life. Because said as we get older, we don't really have too many people that we can confide in, and we know grandparents. I'm not sure how like you said, how the level you have for your grandparents, you guys, but we know that like I said, those are two the set of people that you can typically confide in, and they'll have your back almost 100%. You know what I mean? Not to say, not to
That's
just
the
basically
most.
they're gonna be there for you. You know what I mean? Your grandparents are the ones who are there for you. So like I say, I want to be a better grandfather to my grandchildren, and that's something that I want to 100% drill down. And just like I said, just something that kind of hit me today. But yeah, like I said, in all aspects of life, man, just continue to drill down and, make sure that, like I said, as I say, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. I want to make sure that there's no squeaky wheels. You know what I'm saying? I want to make sure that all wheels is on running at full speed and full capabilities. And so yeah, man, that's just the way I feel right now. I mean, 2024 is I mean, like I said, with that eclipse coming, it's the eight. You know what I'm saying? It's the eight. So if what the number eight represents, is build and destroy. Build up the positive, destroy the negative. So I just want to continue to build on that positive, get rid of all the negativity. I mean, there's always going to have there's always going to be some form of negativity, because it's about that balance. Like I said, going back to the Matrix again, you know what I'm saying? Agent Smith was Neo, you know what I mean? Like balanced out Neo, without one of the other, they couldn't exist, that kind of thing. So negativity is always going to be there, but you have to be willing to use it, and make sure that like it's not, I guess you said, controlling you or affecting you to where you can't continue to move forward and to be positive. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Right.
just drilling everything down, and just continue to that level up, continue that level up. So that's really where I'm.
Yeah, we all on that same page, man. And y'all keep reminding me I got certs I need to finish too, but same, same.
Yes,
Got
sir.
them certs to get done. But man, once again, good conversation, fellas. I appreciate you
Yeah,
all. I appreciate what's
definitely.
happening.
Always.
Definitely. Shout out to our brother Jesse. He couldn't make it in today, but like I said, we gonna hold it down, man. We gonna hold it down always. Yeah, like I said we'll see y'all back next week. We appreciate everybody for tapping in. Like we say, just continue to like, share, subscribe. Anything you want us to speak on, put it in the comments, DM us, email, brofoundnation23@gmail.com is the email. Um, and if you're not following on social medias, you can go to the Brofound Nation page and you can find us all there.
Mm.
But yeah, so like I said, we appreciate everybody continue support, and until next week, Brofound Nation, we out.
Yeah, protect y'all energy, man. Y'all be safe out there tomorrow.
So.
All right, peace.
All right.